Hello, everybody. So this week has been just like a really exciting week. I have been talking to all these people, basically starting some big things that seem really cool, all inclusion focused, and like actually making a bigger difference. This is how I felt as a teacher. I was so happy to change these students' lives that I was like so blessed to do so. It just felt like I wasn't doing a lot. I mean, I know I was doing a lot for those students and I loved it, but that, there's billions of students out there and, billions of teachers, and I wanted to help at a bigger level. I felt like I was figuring out what worked and what didn't work, and I wanted to help more people be able to do this in their classroom too. This had me reflecting a lot, though, that a lot of inclusion resources talk about how for inclusive practices to really happen, the entire school needs to be involved. The district needs to be involved, administrators need to be involved, and they all need to be supportive of it. And that there will be people who aren't supportive, but it's like, if you have those big players wanting to do inclusion, it's going to make it a lot easier. Inclusion Starts Now was so important to me because that was how me as a single teacher at a school within a few years made it a more inclusive setting for students, even after they were in my classroom and after I left that school. The teachers, it became a normal thing for that community to make sure that everybody felt included in the assemblies, in the holiday activities, just everything. And it's just so important that even though it might take longer, that you can make a change at your school with these students, and that it is so important. My two biggest pieces of advice would be to take your time and keep it genuine. So when I went to my second school, I did not take my time. I came in and I was like, I know what I'm doing. I don't care what you say. And I basically just forced inclusion on everybody. What I learned from that is that people don't like that. And the more you fight, the less people are going to want to listen. Going slower, building those trusting relationships with people, having conversations with your admin because they need to be on board. My last job, my whole interview was about inclusion. And my first day on the job, I asked two of the service providers what general ed teachers would be the people that would want to, practice inclusion with me. And they laughed at me and they were like, well, not your classroom. It was also very hard to build genuine relationships at that school. That school was definitely not a good fit for me. But I do feel like it was a two-way street. I did some things that I should have done differently. And obviously they should have done some things differently, like include all their students. Anyways, that's in the past now. Another very important thing, I don't want to say practice, but this is really, okay, I don't know if I learned this from grad school. I don't know. This has all been like under the table learning, not like my teaching credential is under the table, but basically as a teacher, how I explain this to people is you're this neutral party, that you're giving information to the parents, you're giving information to the service providers, you're giving information to the district. You're the person, like you're the sun that just everyone revolves around and needs information from. What I did a lot that was helpful for my students was that I talked to parents off the record. I would tell them what their legal rights were, and I sometimes would have to say, like, look, I am not allowed to take sides in an IEP on this subject, but this is your child, and I'm telling you, if you want this, like, I'm not going to say no. but I can't be the one who asks for it. Like, I can agree with you once you say it, but I can't say it. I studied special education. Like, this was where I wanted to be. This was the population I wanted to work with and learn from. And I know parents most of the time don't choose to have a child with an extensive support need. And and like they're kind of just thrown into this very different upbringing of a child with IEPs and legal meetings and early interventions and all these therapies. And then you're like trying to have a normal life and have friends and go to birthday parties and have extracurricular activities. But you're stuck here going to speech therapy 30 minutes a day and driving all these kids around. And it's just crazy. I think it's so important for teachers to find that connection with the families, because families really get stuff done. And making that bond, especially if you guys both have the same goals for inclusion, that's when more inclusive practices will just keep being pushed and advocated more. So I know I have another video that is about steps that you can do in your community to create a more inclusive to create more inclusive practices. And I call it the B.E.G, or you need to beg, befriend your community, educate your community, and get involved in your community. I'll put that video below. And if it's not there, I guess I'll have to record another video. And if you have any questions about how to start it, if you want to complain about somebody below at your school and you want my opinion on it or whatever, I would love to be that person for you. Inclusion starts with you, and I just want to help. Happy Thursday.